Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 3, and today I'm going to be giving you part 34 of What If Naruto Was Neglected with Jashin sealed inside of him. Remember to share to all of your friends on all of your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was the Hope of the Uchiha Clan over an Anime King, and enjoy that guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time that we left off, as Naruto was stunned it seems, as Gaara had stabbed him from behind, he couldn't get to question a single thing, as she plunged a sword deeper into him. It was a sword that was known to kill anything, any celestial beings, and Naruto exploded. The shockwave was enough to break the barrier between here and the demonic realm of Tartarus, or hell, what you want to call it, as Lucifer stepped foot on this plane of existence. A man known as the Creator was the one who had created them. They called him their father. After seeing what they did to the plant, seeing how they turned everything into chaos, and they were fighting against each other, when he told them to protect the civilization that he created, and they end up wiping it out by mistake, because of their treacherous fighting, he left. That is when they decided never to intervene with humans ever again. All of them brought their power together to make sure that they could not intervene. But Lucifer didn't like that, as he went against them, but they all fought him. Many of them died because he was stronger, really stronger. But eventually they trapped him away to the pits of the darkest souls, where they resided, and he spent eons there. And now he was free. As it was finally time that he exact his revenge on all of them, and he enslaved everything, not just this simple, small planet, but the entire existence around. He didn't care about the Creator anymore. That man abandoned them, and he didn't give a damn. It was his time. He will take over as the new Creator. But before he could, he was stabbed through the chest. As he looked to see a hand coming from behind him, it was none other than Naruto. He couldn't understand how this was happening, as Gaara smirked as she saw Naruto returning. They didn't explain their plan. Lucifer had been watching over them the entire time, so they couldn't outright talk about it, that they wanted to get rid of him. She had to fake like she was talking about it. But they had used someone to help them. That was someone that was trapped away, who Lucifer wasn't focusing on, and that was Kaguya. She had linked them mentally, as Naruto was able to break through some of her seal, so that she could link both him and Gaara so they spoke to each other, creating their plans. Lucifer had sent Naruto to wipe out the rest of the Celestials, because he knew the moment they find out that he was trying to free him, they would try to kill Naruto. So he granted Naruto some of his power, as Naruto was able to leave the realm because he wasn't exactly one of them. He didn't born that way. And Naruto wiped them out, but a few of them escaped. Few of them managed to flee for their life with their bodies gotten destroyed. They pushed themselves into a semi-conscious form with nothing but power and fled. As Naruto was in the pure world, Lucifer did not check up on him there, believing that he had it all under control. But Naruto did something that no one expected. He absorbed all the souls there. All the souls that were at rest, all the peaceful souls. First, he sent them into chaos, as he twisted them into darkness. When a soul so peaceful got twisted by darkness, it became a lot more powerful, and Naruto absorbed it all. As he did not kill Lucifer, he absorbed him into his body, as Lucifer couldn't do anything about it. Things went chaotic as Naruto grabbed Gaara and kissed her. The both of them got trapped in a strange seal, as Jashin told everyone to fire everything they have at it, which they all did, but it was untouched. It then finally broke to reveal their new forms, as they once again changed, but this time, they were gonna stay this way. Jashin stepped back in fright as she felt the overwhelming power. As Naruto said 3 days, he will give them 3 days to gather what they have, and then he will start the chaos. As everyone noticed a giant whirlpool in the sky that led to the depths of Tartarus, where all of the demonic, treacherous beasts resided. As Naruto went away with Gaara, Orochimaru appeared a few minutes later after that. After the 4 souls that managed to escape arrived to Jashin, they might have a chance with these souls. The Shinigami had the idea, but it was forbidden to do what he was about to do, but he had to. Because if Naruto wins, there will be nothing left. They will all be turned to dust. With the 4 souls, Jashin was able to pull him into the swirl. As he managed to gain a foot on this reality as well, they all had to work together as they all started to appear. As Naruto went to Tartarus, as he found his son, him and Gaara had a son. The boy was named Hades after a friend that Naruto met here. Well, he wasn't really a friend. The both of them had fought, and Naruto named his son after him. As his son was finally brought to the world of the living, as he took a foot on this reality, he was happy. As Naruto said that it was about time they introduced him to the family. So yeah guys, that's basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the place, check it out for yourself. So this is begin this new episode. The news had spread around the elemental nation that war was coming. War was coming to them all. And everyone was in a slight state of panic. The reason being, they heard that they were going up against 2 people. People did not understand why they had to use all their forces just for 2 people. That is when they figured that something was wrong. And that became rather scary, the unknown. They had no idea what was going on. People that weren't allies were joined together. People that hate each other were joined together. Orochimaru actually joined up with Konoha. Minato, knowing that Orochimaru was a traitor that was supposed to be killed on sight, did not try to kill man because he knew they needed his help. Orochimaru was a mad scientist and he had things that could help them, proving so as he came to them with the idea. Something that Minato would normally never accept, but no, he had to, for the sake of the world, not just for him and his family, for everyone else. Who could think that his son could have turned into this? Who could think that anything like this would have happened? Now none of them were able to stop him, until they unite. The Shinigami and Jashin, they weren't in Konoha. He didn't know where they went, but they said that they would be back before the war started. They had things that they had to do first. At the moment though, Konan was currently standing by herself. She had survived the collapse of the Hidden Rain. She had been knocked unconscious when she had woken up. Everything was decimated. She had then been found by someone. As much as she detests this man, the both of them wanted the same thing. The fall of Naruto. And she would do anything to get that. After what he did to her village in Nagato, after that, she could finally rest. That was the only thing that she wanted. She watched a swirling vortex appear in front of her, and the man stepped out. Did you find him? She asked. No, said the masked man. He's on the run. It was him then. He was working with Naruto. He was the one that called the other Akatsuki members. But why? Why would he do something like that, said Konan. I do not know, said the masked man. They had no idea why Zetsu betrayed them like this. And they could not find him anywhere. He was currently on the run. He was hiding from them. Do you know where Naruto is? She asked him. The masked man nodded. Although I don't think it is wise for you to go up against him yet. I think we tell me where he is, she said, cutting him off. I will ensure that he dies. Konan had gathered all the paper that she had stored away at the river that she wanted to use against the masked man. As she knew that she couldn't fully trust him after all. But now she was going to use it against Naruto. I have something that could take him down. From what I have heard, he's a lot stronger than before. Are you sure that you don't want to wait? If you go up against him now, you might as well die. My life doesn't matter, as long as I bring him down. He still wanted to use her, because she could be important for the upcoming battle. But if she was able to take Naruto down in her suicide attempt, that would take a big wave off his shoulders. Well then, a swirling vortex appeared right in front of her. Shall we? Konan did not hesitate. She did not care much about anything else. The only thing she wanted was to seeing Naruto dead at her feet, before she could finally rest and be with Nagato and Yaiko once and for all. It was about time. Meanwhile, strolling through the forest, making their way towards the Fire Nation, enjoying the scenery. They could fly, they could speed towards Konoha, but yet they chose to walk. Right out in the open, not giving a damn about anyone, as Hades was in front of the group, despite his childlike voice, and him being around 5'4" to 5'6", and his face also looked rather young. Well, comparing the age, he was a lot older than anyone on this existence right now, except for his parents and Jashin and the other Celestials. But when it comes to humans, he was a lot older than all of them combined. As he walked around, as he marveled in the scenery, his parents behind him, as Gaara had her hands locked with Naruto, as the both of them walked in the peaceful atmosphere, they heard the birds chirping, they heard the streams over to the side, animals running in the forest, until Hades fired a beam from his finger that burst right through a deer, as the thing guts spill everywhere, as he laughed psychotically. Most parents would be freaked out if their child did that, but the two behind him just laughed, even more psychotic than your son, as he felt proud as he looked around, as he kept on strolling through the forest. The next moment they came to a stop as a swirling vortex appeared in front of them, as Conan stepped out. "Mom? Dad?" said Hades. "Who is this?" "I'm not sure," said Naruto. He really didn't have time to remember people who wasn't important. Conan was wearing her Akatsuki cloak. "How can I help you?" said Gaara. "You're interrupting my family. Let her walk." As Conan narrowed her eyes, without saying anything, her hand turned into papers as she shot forward. The speed reached Hades within seconds. Conan's eyes were literally murderous. She didn't know who this was, but he was with them. All of them had to perish. As hundreds of explosive tags started to glow before they went off in a boom. As Conan stood there, her hair and clothing being blown back by the explosion until the explosion was being sucked in. Conan was confused until she saw that boy, as Hades sucked in all of the explosion. As his mouth was wide open, as he was like a vacuum sucking in everything. When he was finished, he burped as smoke came from his mouth. "Here, have it back." As he opened his mouth, Conan had to move as Hades obliterated a large part of the forest by releasing a hot jet of fire from his mouth that shredded through everything. "Don't worry, Mom and Dad," he said. "I'll handle this." "Have fun," said Gaara. "Show that bitch who's boss," said Naruto. "You hear that?" said Hades, as he looked at her. "I'm gonna mess you up." As Conan wondered who the hell was this child, given from his voice and his face in total, he was a child, but how was he able to suck her explosive like that? A distance away, as the masked man was watching them, he was watching to see how Conan will do. But as things were not going so good yet, Naruto turned his head. The masked man froze. He was a distance away, so it wasn't possible for him to see him over here. As Naruto smiled and waved towards him, the man realized that Naruto would not come after him. As Naruto simply turned his head back towards the fight, Naruto snapped his finger as a small throne appeared as he sat down, as he pulled Gaara into his lap. As the both of them decided to watch the fight, Hades smirked as he walked towards Conan, as Conan unfurled her wings. She pointed them towards Naruto and Gaara and shot them forward, only for a bright explosion to wipe all of them out. "You're fighting with me," said Hades. "Come on, give me a challenge." "I've never actually fought a human before." As he held out his hand, a blade formed in his palm. The blade looked like it was made from literal lava, yet it was not dripping, but it looked like it was almost melting. As he did not use it for Kinjutsu though, he tossed it towards her. Conan flew straight up in the sky as Hades moved his two fingers. The blade started to follow her as Conan started to fly and tried to avert it, until Hades slammed his hand together. The blade multiplied into hundreds of blades. Her eyes went wide as they all sailed towards her. She raised her hand to the sky as she formed a mass amount of paper that turned into a swirling vortex. She then threw it as the thing expanded and clashed with the blades. Hades smiled as he slammed his hand together. All the blades then ignited as they went off in a loud explosion. "Sorry, I guess I mocked your trick," But I did it with a blade, he said. Hey, did you die? He asked. As Conan came out of the smoke, as her clothing was burned badly. Her left arm was badly burned, but she had survived using her wings as protection. As she stood there in mid-air, before she held her hand to the sky. She was gonna end this. She wasn't going to waste time with this brat, whoever he was. As Naruto watched as she released something, a seal. The seal released millions. As she released millions of paper bombs. The number just kept on increasing. As she poured them all down. As Naruto's eyes scanned each of them. Whoa. 600 billion, he said. I must say, that's something else. Whoa. So you're gonna explode them all, said Hades as he looked up in the sky. As Conan dropped her hands. It was like the sun was blocked out as the paper bombs came down as they started to glow. Hades slammed his hand into the ground. Let's see how your explosive does against hellfire. The ground cracked as it parted, splitting right into the middle, trees collapsing in the center as flames came out as the paper bombs went off. The two forces clashed. So much flames that burst from the depths of the earth. Hellfire raining upwards as it slammed into the explosion. The entire land of fire shook. Conan was shocked as she kept on pouring them down, but the hellfire was keeping it up in the air. This was 600 billion paper bombs. The explosive would not stop for a good 10 minutes. But yet this boy was keeping them all at bay, as Hades had both of his hands up, with a smirk on his face as the hellfire did not stop. Ah, said Naruto, as he watched a blanket of fire covering the explosive. As the hellfire was slowly surrounding the explosive to counter it. A wonderful firework, don't you say? It's immaculate, darling, said Gaara as she looked up in the sky, as she leaned on Naruto's shoulder. I could almost fall asleep to this, she said. Yeah, you're telling me, said Naruto, as the both of them watched the scene in front of them with happiness. A good 10 minutes passed as Conan came panting from the sky she couldn't understand. How was that even possible? As Hades stood there, the hellfire was around him, but yet he was not being burned. He shrugged it off like it was nothing. As he saw her conflicted look, well, it wouldn't be able to burn me. I was literally born from the depths of hell. But you're stupid, so you wouldn't know that, he said. Well, I'm assuming that you're stupid, because you actually thought that you could kill us. Or more or less me. You know, despite my small size, I was able to triumph amongst all demons down in Tartarus, he said, with a smile on his face. And compared to them, you're not really that strong. And I'm getting bored. So I think I'll... Conan heard a voice behind her. End this, he whispered in her ear. Conan blinked when something drove right through her. She looked down as she saw a hand protruding through her chest. Her eyes felt heavy. I thought humans would be more skilled. Or perhaps you're just a weak one, said Hades, as he ripped his hand out of her chest. Conan dropped to her knees, coughing up blood as she dropped to his side. As she saw Naruto and Gaara got up, as he walked over. As the both of them were clapping. Wonderful display, my son, said Naruto. Yes, honey, that was amazing. The fireworks, the show. It was all blended together so perfectly, said Gaara. As the boy blushed in embarrassment. Come on, mom and dad, he said, with a smile on his face. You're making me blush. Conan couldn't understand these sick people. The way they spoke, the way they acted. She was glad that this was her end, because she didn't know what was going to happen to the world after. As Naruto leaned down in front of her face, I remember you now, I could sense you with the real leader of the Akatsuki. As Naruto placed a hand on her forehead, Conan blinked. She felt pain, yet she wasn't dying. As she coughed more blood, as Naruto smiled, you wonder what's happening to you, right? As she couldn't understand, there was a gaping hole through her chest. Why wasn't she dying? Must be painful, said Gaara as she looked down. Oh, well, you see, my husband here has the control over life and death now, even surpassing death itself. So he basically controlled the pure world, and also the, well, most treacherous world ever, Tartarus. And if he doesn't want you to go there, he can forbid it. After all, it does belong to him. So it doesn't matter how much pain you feel. If he doesn't want you to die, you won't die. Amazing, isn't it? Konan could not speak as her mouth was filled with blood. Her body felt so weak, her eyes felt so droopy, and yet she could not die. Gar reached down and grabbed her by her throat as she picked her up in the ear. Yeah, make her suffer, Mom, said Hades. This is for interrupting my family. Peaceful walk, said Gar. As black flames burst from her hands and consumed Konan. Konan cried out in agony and pain as she dropped to the ground, rolling in agony, despair and pain. But yet she would not die. As her skin burned, her flesh melted down to the bone. She still wouldn't die, her organs destroyed, yet she had a self-awareness of what was going on and she was suffering. Now, let us continue our journey, shall we? Said Naruto. With pleasure, dear, said Gaara, as they start to walk once again. A few moments later, the masked man appeared, where the bones of Konan was on the ground. As the black flames would not out, as he wondered if this was the Amaterasu flames. But they were not. The flames were more darker, pitch black like death itself. Unknown to him, Konan was still alive, and feeling every ounce of pain as her skin, her bone was being melted. But yet it would not completely disintegrate. She would just remain there, suffering, her soul unable to rest, burning endlessly. It wouldn't go away. Well, that was a small price that she paid for interrupting the family small getaway of just walking peacefully through the forest. Imagine what they were gonna actually do to the people that they hate if they did that to Konan. Who they barely give a damn about. As they continued to walk through the forest, the masked man stayed his distance, but he kept a keen eye on them. He knew that Naruto knew that he was there, but yet he did not acknowledge him or seem to care that he was following him. The masked man was waiting for Zetsu to show his face, but up till now Zetsu hasn't shown up yet. He still had the Geto statue in his possession, but without the Rinnegan, he couldn't really do anything to it. And if he tried to link himself to it now, the Geto statue would try to overpower him. And without the amount of power necessary, he would be subdued, and he would turn his pawn instead of the other way around. And it would just siphon away all of his chakra, taking back what it originally is. As the group continued to make their way, they were stopped in the land of fire by the Guardian 12, a group that belonged to the Daimyo. As the head of this group, a man that scar over his nose, bald head, as he was wearing the proficient attire. I'm afraid we can't let you go any further, the man said, as he pulled on his blade. Whoa, scary, said Hades. I'm shivering, Mom. Me too, honey, she said. We apologize, said Naruto. We will leave. No, I'm afraid you can't. The reports that we've gotten. You, identify yourself. Are you not Naruto? You know my name, said Naruto. Yes, and you're supposed to be killed at all costs. Get on your knees. It won't be painful if you oblige to our command. Oh, is that so? Alright, you heard him. All of you get on your knees, said Naruto, as they all went down. The man was surprised how, well, easy this was going, and he did not trust it one bit. But he pulled his blade and coated it with chakra as he moved. As he swinged his blade and took off their head. Well, that was rather easy. He got to his feet, looking at them, their headless bodies, lying there. As he turned towards his man. Let us go and report this to the daimyo, he said. He couldn't believe it was over already. What should we do with the bodies, sir? Bring them as evidence. As the man went to the castle, the man reported to the daimyo, and his name was bolstered in the ranks. In the next few weeks, he was called by the nations, and he was crowned the hero of the entire elemental nation. The man couldn't believe that all this was happening, as everything was going greatly. All daimyos, all Kages greeted him, as he was currently at home with his loving wife and his beautiful children. He was currently in his backyard. He was currently 6 years old now. He had retired, and his eldest son had taken over his place. He couldn't believe that everything worked out so perfectly that day. He had lived his life perfectly, without another fault. He never got sick. Everything was just blissful. There was no more war in Elemental Nation. He then heard a scream as he rushed to his house. Honey, are you okay? Oh, said Naruto, as he was holding the man's wife's neck. You're here. As Naruto licked her face. She's quite tasty. I I killed you, the man said. You killed me, said Naruto, as he snapped the man's wife's neck. The youngest child came rushing in. Makaru, stop! As Naruto backhanded the child, his head exploded. The man dropped to his knees. As Naruto stepped forward, as Naruto licked his lips. Kill me? You? As Naruto burst out laughing. Meanwhile, in the real world, the Guardian 12 was watching as the commander stood there. As Naruto was currently on his feet as his eyes were peering into the commander's eyes that were currently black at the moment. The commander dropped to his knees crying, calling out strange names. As the others raised their weapon. What did you do to him, they said, as they pointed their weapons towards Naruto. Annoying, said Gara. She raised her hand. Ash started to fill the entire area. She then snapped her finger, and the ash ignited. Screams of pain and agony could be heard as she burned them away into dust. As Naruto picked up the commander by his throat. Hey, said Naruto. Want to play catch? Yeah. As he turned towards Sun and threw the commander, his son caught him by the neck and threw him back. As Naruto tossed him back, no further grand show, said Naruto as he grabbed the commander and tossed him straight up in the air. As his son pointed his 2 fingers up, as he fired like a gun, the beams ripped through the commander's spine. As they then exploded inside of him. As Naruto raised his hand, all the blood and gore just vanished. Gar came over and bumped Hades on the head. Now what did I tell you about getting yourself messy? What would you have done if your father hadn't done it a moment ago? You'd have been filled with all over guts over you. And that is not pleasant for someone of your stature. Do you understand me? She said. Sorry, Mom. I won't do it again. I'll just kill people a distance away from me, so I won't get so dirty. Is that okay? Yes, she said, as he smiled back at her. They then heard footsteps, as they realized that the army of the daimyo was coming. Samurai armies. He looked towards his parents with a smile on his face. Have fun, said Naruto. Thanks, Mom. He looked towards his mother, who nodded. Thanks, Dad, as he ran off. Moments later, the patrol envoy group that consists of 4 members. Nico, that was Cat. There was Bat. There was Wolf. And there was Falcon. They were currently making their way through the trees to find the source of the noise. Something was happening in the fire capital. They had to find out and report back to the Hokage rather quickly. They did not hesitate as he burst through the trees, arriving towards the scene. The scene that they arrived upon was one of pure shock, as they saw one young boy. His clothes was unblemished, but yet around him was all the samurai guards of the daimyo. They were dead. Their heads were either ripped off, their chests ripped open, yet the boy didn't have a drop of blood on him. Hades had rolled up his sleeve, same like what he did with Conan when he burst his hand right through her. So none of the blood got on his clothing. His mom didn't like to see him all bloody. For what reason, he did not know. His father didn't seem to mind, or if he did not say anything about it. Perhaps it was because they were presenting him to the family of his father at Konoha, and they want him to look presentable. Well, he didn't know why. He just shrugged it off. When he saw 4 members in the corner, they tried to hide from him, but he could feel them right there. He waved towards them before he turned back and went towards his parents. Who was that boy? Said Falcon. As Cat looked towards the others, they had no idea what the hell was going on. We have to find out what is going on. Before they could say anything, the entire capital was wiped off the map. An explosion that shook the Fire Nation as the capital was turned into dust. Everything was blown apart. It was just gone in a second. The 4 envoys stood there with absolute shock over their faces, as they couldn't understand. Who the hell could... They looked up in the sky when Falcon pointed upwards, and they saw them there. Hades flew up in the sky. Mom, Dad, what happened? As he saw that his mother was blushing. Well, your husband is being the perfect gentleman. You see the daimyo tried to hit on me. Really? Said Hades. Right in front of Dad? Yes. A fat short man, said Naruto, trying to keep his people safe by showering us with praises. But he went a bit too far. So I blew the place up. I I love when you show that you care, said Gara. As she turned and gave him a kiss, Hades turned his head as he whistled to himself. Well, that drew a lot of attention, he said, as he watched the 4 envoys running away. They're running. Oh, let them go, son. They're going to be reporting to my dear father, your grandfather, said Naruto. I'm sure that everyone will be ready once we arrive. Although we're not here to fight, we're just here to talk. Well, you guys did blow up the building over there. Isn't that a part of the village? Well, not really, said Naruto. But it is their financial base. So, yeah, said Naruto. But it wouldn't matter soon enough, so there's no problem here. As they start to flew, gently moving in the wind. Moments later, they weren't allowed to go into the village of Konoha, because before they arrived, everyone was there, armed and ready to the teeth to fight. Even Kakashi with his one arm stood there as well. As Naruto saw the furious gaze of Menma, his mother, his darling sister, her girlfriend, and his father at the front, the remaining shinobis behind them, all of them were strapped and ready. That was fast. Most of them were still inside getting the civilians to proper safety. Knew that Naruto tried to decimate Konoha. They were bringing them somewhere different, far underground, the root bases. Strangely enough, Orochimaru was the one that gave them this idea. As for Orochimaru, he was currently in one of his secret labs, as he was far, far below the earth, at the Forest of Death, working on his project that he was currently working on. He told Minato that he would be ready in the 3 days that they were given, but it didn't seem that they have 3 days. As the 3 of them landed in front of the massive army that was already there, stopping them from going any further. Oh, I see, said Naruto. So you guys are already here, out in full force, I see. Minato was pissed off as he looked at the massive smoke that was coming from where the Fire Nation once was. This was bad. Really, really bad. And things hadn't even started yet. As Naruto and Gaara stepped forward, the group tensed. Calm yourself, said Naruto. I'm not here to fight. Those people back there just got in our way, so we had to exterminate them. As Menma clutched his kunais in his hand. Do you really want to do that again, said Naruto. You know, if you throw that kunai towards me this time, I'm gonna take your left eye. Menma struggled not to do it, as he was grabbed by Mito by the shoulder. She shook her head for not to rush in stupidly, as Kushina stepped close in front of Menma, as the chains from her back was already out and ready. Hello family, said Naruto. I would have liked us to talk on better terms, but I want to introduce you all to my son, Hades. They froze as he looked towards the small boy. So this was his son. Hello Grandpa, Grandma, Uncle, Aunt, said Hades as he bowed his head. It's a pleasure to meet you. It's a shame that we will have to kill you guys in a couple of days, but I'm glad that I was able to meet you guys. But we're gonna have fun in the battlefield, okay? I think I'm gonna hurt you first, as he pointed at Menma. I kind of hate your eyes, and the way you look at my father and mother. Yeah, I'm gonna poke your eyes out, and then I'm gonna come after you, grandfather, and then you, grandmother, and then I'm gonna go after you, as he pointed at Mito. As Naruto stepped forward, Minato clutched his kunai as he moved forward as well. So, this is it, said Minato. No, said Naruto. I told you 3 days. And recently, I've been a man of my word. So you still have 3 days. As I said, I just want to introduce you to my son. And yet you just killed countless of people, said Minato in anger. Oh, you mean those people back there? Well, they got in my way. What did you expect me to do? Minato looked at him with nothing but disgust. So? What do you think of my son, said Naruto. I don't give a damn about you or your offsprings. But he's your grandson. He's no grandson of mine, because you're not my son. Whoa. Right in the kicker, said Naruto as he pointed at his chest. But words really don't affect me. But you still have your 3 days. Mom, always good to see you. Saw that you escaped your cage. Hey Menma, where's Hinata? Don't talk about her! Oh, I'm afraid I'm not here to talk about her. I'm here for her. Lay one finger on her, and it will be the last thing you ever do. Whoa, scary, said Naruto. I know it's seen or known already by you guys, but not many others. You know I'm like a literal, what would you call it? Deity, right? As the main of the ninjas start to panic at that. I mean, I could wipe you all out with just a simple snap of my finger. But nothing happened as they jump. As Naruto laughed. Good one, Dad, said Hades. Oh, don't worry. You guys still have your 3 days. I'm just here to collect a few things. So, well, one thing in particular. That's Hinata. Promised that I would come back for her. You will get her over my lifeless body, said Mingma. Well, you're making me too happy, said Naruto. But nah. As Naruto's eyes focus on the village, bypassing all of them. Ah, got you. Hades. Yes, Dad? As he came toward his father's side, as Naruto tapped him on the head. As Hades nodded. As he then took off. Kunais were a pull, as they were about to be thrown towards Hades. As Naruto raised his hand and dropped it, everyone dropped to their knees. An ungodly pressure settling on their shoulders. Hurry up and get her now, will you? As Hades made his way, as he bobbed his head singing to himself, I soar like a butterfly, I sting like a bee. You guys better watch out because Hades is gonna say he paused. As he looked down. Not a bad looking village, he said. As he lowered himself to the ground. He didn't see anyone, it was like a ghost town. He made his way, following the instructions his father placed into his head. As he made his way before he stopped right at the center, he raised his fist. As he smashed it into the earth, it cracked as he jumped into the hole that he created. Meanwhile, underground, the head branch of the Hyugas, Hinata included, was taken. As her father was not going to risk it, so she was taken. Hinata on the other hand knew that he couldn't do anything to stop him. Menma had told her what happened. And she realized that Naruto has gotten so much more powerful that it was unable to prevent what was going to happen. And he was going to be coming for her. As she looked towards her younger sister, Hanabi, and they could not stop him. Hanabi reminded her so much of her mother. Hanabi never got to see her mother because her mother died during childbirth. But Naruto didn't say anything about taking Hanabi as well, so that meant no, she couldn't let that happen. She couldn't let her little sister die. They were currently making her way. She realized that under here she could not see anything. The walls were warded with seals to prevent her Byakugan from seeing through anything. Suddenly, a small light, boom, as the entire ceiling fell down. But the large debris were caught by this mysterious black engine and thrown away. Dad said to bring you back, not to squash you. So I can't tell you guys to get squashed. As he lowered himself in the center, he was instantly surrounded. Who are you? Kunais and shurikens were pointed towards him with the palm of the gentle fist style. As Hades waved his hand, I'm not here for you. He then turned his eyes as he landed on Hinata. Hinata grabbed Hanabi. Big sister, what are you? Hinata covered her mouth. As she gave her a pleading look. Shh, she said. I'm here for you. Hades raised his hand as a beam of black energy shot forward. Hinata watched as it passed everyone and enveloped her and Hanabi. Hades raised his hand as he blasted open the ceiling. The remaining rocks and debris destroying everything around them, squashing people. As Hinata was pulled along with her sister, as Hayashi's eyes went wide but he couldn't do anything as they were taken away from him. The members quickly jumped up, but Hades simply flew away as he started to chase after him. As they made their way towards the gate, Hades arrived as he saw his father lecturing all the shinobis. When he saw him coming, Menma struggled to stand up. He couldn't gather nature energy, he couldn't do anything. His chakra felt like it wasn't even there. The pressure started to lessen the moment it did. He launched a volley of kunais and shuriken towards them, as they bounced off Naruto's chest like harmless weapons and dropped down towards the ground. A pity. Menma flashed in front of him, as Naruto looked towards him. As Naruto watches Menma slowly take his time, coming towards him, everyone else saw what the hell was going on. As Menma was moved in slow motion, as there was a strange black energy around him that slowed down his movements. As Naruto raised his finger and finger flicked him, Menma was insane as he crashed into the crowd. As Hades finally came down, as he placed down Hanabi and Hinata. Hanabi looked towards her sister, alarmed, as she didn't know what was going on. Her sister had ended up saving her life. Most of the members had got squashed into a small tunnel, as rocks and debris had decimated them. She didn't even know if her father made it alive, or the elders, or the other Ayugas. Hinata looked up as she saw him. She knew it was him. "Hmm? And who's the little one?" said Naruto as he narrowed his eyes. She held on to Hanabi tighter. "What? I'm not so evil," said Naruto. "To hurt the little one." "You monster," Hanabi said, as she heard about him. "Oh. I just got to know you. Why do you gotta say something like that?" said Naruto. She's pretty cute," said Hades. "Really, son?" "Yeah, I like her. She has fire in her eyes." "We should bring her along, Dad," Hades said. "What is it?" said Gaara. "Is it the eyes? I also find myself alluring to them." As she stooped down towards Hinata and looked in her face. "So what is it?" Hinata didn't know what to say. As she couldn't even back, she was too afraid to move. Well, we'll find out in the future, once I inspect every inch of your body." "Mom," said Hades. "Oh, sorry dear," she said. As they looked back up towards the crowd. "Let her go!" As Minma came rushing out of the crowd, he was now enhanced by Sage Mode. "Is that smart?" said Naruto as Minma came to a stop. "I mean, I could kill her, you know, and yet you're running right towards me." "Minato, what have you been teaching him? It seems like he's gotten more stupid since I've left." "What are your intentions here?" asked Minato. "Oh, I told you already, I'm here for her, not you guys. But she seemed like she wanted to bring her sister along, so we'll be taking her as well. Besides, my son liked her. So, well, see you guys. 3 days, and you will die." As he started to walk away, as Minma clenched his fist so tight blood was coming from his palm. "I see your spirit is still not yet broken." As Naruto walked over and stopped, he placed 2 fingers on his forehead before a light came up. A bright light that went straight up in the sky. "Lady Hinata!" The other voice of the Hyuga members came to a stop as they all arrived just in time. The ones that survived, Hinata didn't see her father anywhere. As they came to a stop, they didn't know what to do as she was right in front of that monster. Hinata wondered what the hell was Naruto doing. As she looked up towards that strange beam of light, her eyes went wide. "No, don't. It's time I break his spirit," said Naruto. As he went down to her ear. "You have nothing to worry about. He's gonna be dead soon enough." The scream then started to play something, as everyone looked towards it curiously. It was Hinata and Naruto. As Hinata was on a bed, she was wearing clothes. Neither was Naruto as he was looking at her. As he started to march towards her, she tried to fight it, but then she gave in. It then switched towards them when they were younger. The many acts that they commit, with Hinata playing a part of it. Minma dropped his kunai, and it then skipped to recently when Naruto invaded the village and released Sasuke. Minma couldn't believe what he was seeing. Tears pulled up in his eyes. As Mito, eyes went wide. Ami couldn't believe what she was seeing either. As Kushina's eyes twisted to rage. All this time she thought. But in the video she saw that Hinata was willingly giving in and accepting him, but why would she do that? She was with Minma, even back then, when they were younger. How could she? Minma dropped towards his knees, his spirit dampened. As Minma looked towards Hinata, tears in his eyes. She couldn't face him, she couldn't face anyone. As Naruto stepped in front of her, as the scream went dull. "Yes, she's a bad person," said Naruto. "But that is just how I like them. So you all can say anything bad about her all you want. But it doesn't matter, because she will be one of the few that won't be going through hell when time comes. Because I'm gonna put you all through arena, where you have to continuously fight for your life. Just one of my little enjoyment sessions. So bitch about how bad of a person she is. At least she get to live." "Oh, and Minma, you thought I was joking when I told you that I was gonna screw your girlfriend, and that she didn't like you. Well, now we have proof." Minma didn't have anything to say. "Oh, he's broken." "Shut your mouth," said Mito as she glared at him. Sister, sister, sister. You know? Nah, never mind. She narrowed her eyes in anger. Well, I was just gonna kill your girlfriend to make you pay for that insult, but that's too petty if I must say. Now come on family, said Naruto. Let us go. He snapped his fingers as they were gone in a flash. Minato released a breath. He didn't think they were ready for something like that. But this just showed how much weaker they were compared to Naruto. They would need the help of everyone they got. They need Jashin. They need the Shinigami. They need Orochimaru. As he looked towards Minma, who seemed broken, light in his eyes. They were dim more than before. They were non-existent. He couldn't shield his son from this. He never knew that this was going on. As Minma just sat there, completely out of it. He was not even there anymore. He couldn't believe that this was going on. All this time when she said that he was the only one. She loved him. And this was going on behind his back. Soon his sadness would turn to rage, but right now, he was too sad to think about anything else. Meanwhile, at the Valley of the End, as Naruto stood at the massive canyon where Hoshirama and Madara's statue was, "What are we doing here?" said Hinata. She looked at him with a glare, as she couldn't believe that he just did that. She had promised to kill herself if he ever released that shoot, but right now she could not. And plus, she had her sister, and if she killed herself, what would happen to her? She knew. She always knew that Naruto would win. And she probably saved her sister from sudden death, because she wouldn't be a part of the massacre. Hanabi was scared. She didn't know what to do or say, so she decided to keep quiet. She glanced towards her left with that strange boy. As he smiled at her, she turned her head. As Hades pouted, as he looked away, crossing his arms. "You'll see," said Naruto as he raised his hand to the heaven. He then dropped his hand. The entire canyon was wiped out within that second. It was just gone, evaporated. As the line was flat, completely flat. As Naruto then raised his hand as a stairway was rose up in the air. The stairway stood there in mid-air as Hinata watched. So did Hanabi. As they watched as Naruto opened a worm hole right in front of them, a giant castle came out of it that floated in the sky, not touching the ground, as it just floated there. And the staircase led right up to the entrance. The thing was large enough to float over the Fire Nation and squash it if it was to drop on it. "And that will be home for now," said Naruto with a smile. "Gara dear," he said, "would you mind taking our visitors to their new home?" "With pleasure." Gara then turned. She held out her hand to Hinata, who huffed and walked by herself. Truly feisty," said Gara. "We're gonna have some fun." "What are you gonna do?" she said. "I'm gonna fulfill some promises." "Well, have fun," she said, as Gara made her way. "Come on, Hades," she said, "but I want to go with Dad." "Stay with your mom for now. There's a few things I have to do." "Oh, okay," he said, as he looked back over towards Hanabi, who was not looking at him. "It might be difficult at first," said Naruto, "but she'll come around." As Hades smiled at that, "Really think so?" As Naruto nodded, as Hades made his way up the stairs, as Hinata knew that she didn't have a choice, as she held on to Hanabi. "Big sister?" As Hinata looked down. "Are we gonna die?" Hanabi asked. "No. We're probably the only one that will survive," Hinata said. As Naruto gave Gara a kiss before he made his way off, as he patted his son on his head. Time skip, as Naruto arrived at the mountain area. The place was deserted after all. Jashin was no longer there. The Kaiba was no longer there, no one was here. But that wasn't what he was here for. As Naruto waited until Black Zetsu emerged on the ground. "Took you long enough," said Naruto. As Zetsu didn't say anything towards that remark. As Naruto then looked down to the water down below him. Zetsu saw something moving in the water. "What's that?" he asked. As Naruto simply smiled. "You will find out soon enough," said Naruto. "So would you mind?" "Follow me," said Zetsu. As Zetsu sank back underground, as Naruto also sank through the ground. The both of them arrived at the cave as Naruto saw the Gedo statue. He went over towards the thing as he placed his hand on it. It tried to resist him at first. Stupid beast," said Naruto, as he forced his power over it. The fingers twitched as the thing cracked its neck, the legs unfold. As the thing rose up, all the eyes snapped open with a black tint in it. Before it bowed. "Now that's more like it," said Naruto. Zetsu was amazed by that. The thing then punched right through the ceiling. Well then, as Naruto hopped on the shoulder, as Zetsu simply tagged along, the masked man cursed as he followed behind as well, waiting to see if an opportunity would show itself where he get what he wanted. As Naruto arrived towards where he stood, before he ordered as the Gedo statue jumped off, right into the water, before something came up and chomped down on it. The water then started to bubble as it turned black, black as night. A black beam then shot straight up in the sky as Naruto watched as the beam ripped through this reality. It seemed like it ripped through space and time itself, the fabric of space and time being torn. As Zetsu looked up with amazement, as Naruto smiled, the beam then vanished as another wormhole stood in mid-air. "What is that?" said Zetsu. They heard a growl that shook the place as Zetsu looked down. Zetsu's eyes went wide when he saw the monster that was emerging from the water. "World Eater," said Naruto. "Emerge." World Eater? Zetsu thought to himself. Just what the hell is that thing? But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want the next part, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember to share all of your friends to your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was a Hope of Lucha Clan over on Anime King, and enjoy that guys. And remember, for anyone this is the first time you hear my voice, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And yes, I indeed have 3 channels. Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. And yeah, without further ado, what do you say we get the hell out of here? See you guys soon. Peace out.